After a long silence, Councillor Kim stood up. His thin body was covered in old faded blue scales. The Thraxi were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. They had helped form the Confederation thousands of years ago. "There is one option we have not tried," Kim said slowly. Everyone turned to him. "The creatures from the third planet of the Sol system." The room exploded with noise. Voices shouted over each other. "The humans?" Representative Lee stood up, his red feathers rising, in alarm. "They have barely left their own planet. They are dangerous," Ambassador Park added. Her 6 arms moved in the air as she spoke. "Remember what we learned when we watched them. They fight wars all the time. They are violent beyond reason." Admiral Tay raised his hand. The room slowly became quiet. "I understand your fears," he said. "But the Vorax will reach the Centauri cluster in 30 days. Trillions of lives are at risk." He looked at each council member. "How we have tried everything else." The debate went on for hours. Some members argued that humans were too primitive to help. Others feared bringing such a violent species into space. A few suggested that the Vorax might just pass by the Centauri cluster. "The Vorax have not passed by any inhabited system yet," Admiral Tay said. "They destroy everything in their path." Finally, the council voted. The large screen showed the results. 17 for contacting humans, 15 against. As the council members left the room, Councillor Kim walked slowly to Admiral Tay. His old legs moved, with difficulty across the smooth floor. "I voted to contact the humans," Kim said quietly, "but I still fear them." Admiral Tay nodded. "I have studied the reports from Earth. Their history is full of war. They fight each other over land, resources, beliefs. Things most species in the Confederation resolved ages ago. Yet you still want their help?" Kim asked. "The reports also showed something else," Tay said. "Humans are creative in how they fight. They adapt. They find weaknesses. They use tricks and surprise. The Confederation has been at peace so long we have forgotten these ways of war." Kim looked out the large window at the stars. "The Vorax adapt to our weapons. Perhaps we need a species that adapts its thinking." "Exactly," Tay agreed. "But if the humans help us defeat the Vorax, we might face a new problem," Kim finished. "I watched the humans for years. They advance quickly. They went from simple flight to space travel in just 60 years. Most species take centuries for such progress." Tay's scales darkened with worry. "We will send Ambassador Kang to Earth tomorrow. He understands humans better than most." "If the humans agree to help us," Kim said, "we must be careful how we introduce them to the galaxy. They must not learn too much too fast." Tay looked confused. "We need their help. We must share our knowledge." "Some knowledge, yes," Kim agreed, "but not all. The reports showed humans have a strong desire to explore and expand. If we give them access to all our technology at once, they might spread across the galaxy when the Vorax are gone," Tay realized. Both aliens stood in silence, watching the stars. Finally, Tay spoke again. "We have no choice. The Vorax will destroy everything unless we stop them." "I know," Kim said, "but I cannot help wondering, are we replacing one terror with another?" As they spoke, a small ship was already being prepared. Ambassador Kang would reach Earth in 3 days. The fate of the galaxy would depend on how humans responded to the call for help. In his private chamber, Admiral Tay reviewed the human files one more time. He watched videos of their wars, their sports, their movies. Everything showed the same pattern. Humans loved to compete, to win, to conquer challenges. They never gave up, even when logic said they should. "Perhaps," he whispered to himself, "that is exactly what we need." He closed the files and sent a message to Ambassador Kang. "Tell the humans whatever they want to know about the Vorax, but be careful what you tell them about us." The message sent, Admiral Tay looked at the map of the galaxy. The Vorax were moving quickly toward the Centauri cluster. Time was running out. He hoped the humans would agree to help. He also hoped the Confederation would not regret asking them. Ambassador Kang's ship moved quietly into Earth's orbit. The blue planet looked different from the pictures in the old Confederation files. Cities now had green spaces growing through them. The oceans looked cleaner. Humans had worked hard to fix their world. Kang studied the planet through his viewing window. His four eyes blinked slowly as he took in the sight. His skin, a light purple color, reflected the blue light from Earth. He felt nervous. The Confederation had watched humans from afar for centuries, but had never made direct contact. "We are ready to land, Ambassador," said his pilot. Kang nodded. "Remember what Admiral Tay said. These humans are dangerous, but we need them. Be respectful, but careful." The ship descended toward the landing pad in New Seoul. The city spread out below them, a mix of tall buildings and green parks. Solar panels covered many rooftops, catching the morning sun. A small group waited on the landing pad. They wore simple, blue uniforms without weapons. Kang was surprised. He had expected more security, perhaps even armed soldiers. As Kang walked down the ramp, a tall human stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. I am Director Jin of the First Contact Office." Kang bowed slightly. "Thank you for receiving us, Director. The Galactic Confederation sends its greetings to humanity." Director Jin smiled politely. "President Han is waiting to meet you at the United Earth Council chambers." The ride through New Seoul was quiet. Kang watched humans going about their daily lives. Some looked at his vehicle with interest, but most paid no attention. News of alien contact had been released years ago, when the Confederation's observation satellites were first discovered. The United Earth Council building stood in the center of the city. It was not as tall as other buildings, but spread wide, with gardens on its roof. Inside, Kang was led to a round meeting room. 20 humans sat around a large table. At the head sat President Han, a man with short gray hair and serious eyes. "Ambassador Kang," President Han said, standing to greet him. "Welcome to Earth." Kang bowed again. "Thank you, President Han. I wish our first official meeting came at a better time." "Please tell us why you've come," the President said. Kang took a deep breath. "The Confederation faces an enemy like none we have seen before. We call them the Vorax." He placed a small device on the table. It projected a hologram showing alien creatures attacking a city. The Vorax looked like large insects with multiple limbs, but they changed shape as they fought. "They have destroyed 7 star systems already," Kang continued. "Billions dead. Our weapons don't work against them for long. They adapt quickly." President Han leaned forward. "And you want Earth's help? We've barely reached Mars. Our ships can't travel between stars yet." "We don't need your ships," Kang said. "We need your minds, your way of thinking." He looked around the room. "The Confederation has been at peace for thousands of years. We've forgotten how to fight." A woman in a military uniform spoke up. "Are you saying you want us because we're good at war?" Kang turned to her. "Yes, General Song, the Confederation has studied Earth for centuries. Your species fights continuously. You understand violence in ways we have forgotten." The room grew quiet. Some humans looked offended, others seemed thoughtful. General Song stood up and walked to the hologram. She watched the Vorax attack again. "Can you slow this down?" she asked. Kang adjusted the device. The hologram slowed. General Song pointed at the screen. "Look here. They attack in groups of 3. She traced the movement with her finger. The first group attacks. The second watches, the third comes in with a new strategy based on what happened to the first. She looked at Kang. They learn from each attack. Kang blinked all 4 eyes rapidly. "You saw that? Our military analysts missed this pattern completely." General Song shrugged. "It's basic swarm tactics. We use similar approaches in our training." President Han and his advisors whispered among themselves. After a few minutes, the president turned back to Kang. "We will help," he said. "Not with soldiers, but with strategists. A small team to advise your military." Kang felt relief wash over him. "Thank you, President Han. The Confederation will provide transportation and all necessary—" "We have conditions," President Han interrupted. "First, our people must have access to all information about the Vorax. Second, they remain under Earth command. Third, we want to learn about your technology to protect our own world if needed." Admiral Tay's scales reflected the dim blue light of the emergency chamber. He stood tall despite his old age. His eyes moved across the room, looking at all 32 members of the Galactic Confederation Council. Each member came from a different, advanced civilization in space. They all watched the large screen in silence, On the screen, a green planet burned. Tall cities fell as strange, dark shapes moved through them. The Vorax had attacked another world. No one spoke as they watched. The destruction. Admiral Tay turned off the screen. "This is the 7th world they have taken," he said. His voice was deep and tired. 7 star systems lost to these creatures. Billions of people dead. He placed his clawed hands on the round table. "Our weapons do not work against them. The Vorax change their bodies to resist whatever we use." The council members looked at each other. Fear showed in their many different eyes, some with 2, some with 4, some with more. None had answers. Kang hesitated. Admiral Tay had warned him about sharing too much technology, but they needed help now. "Agreed," he said finally. 3 days later, Kang watched as 50 human specialists prepared to board his ship. They carried small bags of personal items and wore simple uniforms. Some were military officers, like General Song. Others were scientists, engineers, and even historians who specialized in war studies. What troubled Kang was their attitude. They didn't seem afraid. Some even looked excited. They talked and joked as they loaded their gear. General Song was the last to board. She stopped beside Kang. "You're worried about us," she said. It wasn't a question. Kang nodded slowly. "The Vorax have defeated the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, yet you seem eager." General Song smiled slightly. "Humans face problems differently than your people, Ambassador. When we're scared, we don't just feel fear. We get angry. We get determined." She looked up at the stars. "And we're very good at fighting things that scare us." As the ship left Earth's atmosphere, Kang watched General Song studying the star maps. She was already planning, already thinking about the enemy. Kang sent a private message to Admiral Tay. "The humans have agreed to help. They are even more dangerous than we thought. They see patterns we miss, and they do not fear the Vorax. They welcome the challenge." He looked at the humans again, busy learning about Confederation technology. Kang hoped they would save the galaxy from the Vorax. He also hoped the galaxy would survive its saviors. The huge space station known as Proxima Station floated in the darkness of space. It was the main base for the Galactic Confederation's military forces. The station was shaped like a wheel, spinning slowly to create gravity for the many alien species that lived and worked there. Today, the station was filled with whispers and stares. Aliens of all shapes and sizes stopped to watch as a group of humans walked through the hallways. General Song led the way, walking confidently despite being surrounded by creatures from across the galaxy. Behind her came 50 human specialists, soldiers, scientists, and strategists from Earth. "They're so small," whispered a tall, thin alien with blue skin. "But they move so easily here," replied another alien covered in thick fur. No breathing masks, no gravity supports. This was true. While many aliens on the station needed special equipment to survive, the humans simply walked normally. Their bodies, evolved on Earth with its changing seasons and varied environments, adapted quickly to the station's conditions. Supreme Commander Choi waited for them in the main command center. He was from a species called the Velen, with gray skin and large eyes that could see in almost total darkness. As the highest-ranking military officer in the Confederation, he had fought the Vorax longer than anyone. "Welcome to Proxima Station, General Song," he said through a translator device. "We hope your journey was comfortable." General Song nodded. "Thank you, Commander. Now we need to get to work immediately." She looked around the room. "We need all your information on the Vorax, everything you have." Commander Choi seemed surprised by her directness. "Of course. What specifically do you want first? Our weapons? Research? Defense systems?" "All of it," Song said. "Battle records, communication intercepts, biological samples, autopsy reports, everything you know about how they think and fight." Commander Choi had expected the humans to immediately ask about weapons. Most species focused on finding bigger, stronger ways to attack the Vorax. But instead, the humans settled into a large room and began studying information about Vorax behavior. For 3 days, they barely slept. They watched recordings of battles, over and over. They examined the few Vorax bodies that had been recovered. They studied how the Vorax communicated during attacks. On the 4th day, Commander Choi visited their workroom. "Have you developed any strategies yet?" he asked hopefully. Lieutenant Do, a short woman with intense eyes, stood next to a large display showing Vorax movement patterns. "We think we understand them now," she said. "They're a hive mind, but not a centralized one." Commander Choi looked confused. His translator beeped as it tried to find the right words. "Most hive minds have one central brain controlling everything," Lieutenant Do explained. "But the Vorax are different. They have many control nodes spread throughout their forces, like a network rather than a pyramid." She pointed to the display. "Look here. When you destroyed this command ship, this section of their fleet became confused for exactly 7.3 minutes before another node took control." Commander Choi's large eyes blinked slowly. "Yes, we noticed that, but it was temporary." "But it's a weakness," General Song said, entering the room. "Their greatest strength, their ability to adapt and learn, is also their weakness. They share information constantly. They learn from each defeat. But what if we could confuse that learning process?" Before Commander Choi could ask what she meant, alarms began ringing throughout the station. A communications officer rushed in. "Commander, Vorax ships have been detected entering the Arcturus system." The Arcturus system had 5 inhabited planets with billions of people. If the Vorax took the system, they would kill everyone. In the main command center, military leaders from 30 species argued about how to defend Arcturus. Some wanted to use their newest weapons. Others suggested evacuating the planets. General Song waited for a pause in the debate, then spoke clearly. "We have a strategy." The room grew quiet. "What kind of strategy?" Commander Choi asked. "Psychological warfare," General Song stated simply. The translator device made a strange noise. Commander Choi looked confused. "I don't understand this term, Lieutenant." Du stepped forward. "It means we attack their minds, not just their bodies. We use deception. We manipulate how they think and what they perceive." The alien commanders looked shocked. Some even stepped back from the humans. "You mean lie during battle? Use tricks and deception?" Commander Choi asked. "Our species moved beyond such dishonorable tactics thousands of years ago." Lieutenant Do smiled slightly. "And that's exactly why the Vorax keep defeating you. You fight with honor against an enemy that doesn't understand the concept." The alien commanders argued loudly. Many objected to the human approach on moral grounds. Fighting with deception seemed wrong to species that valued truth above all else. Finally, General Song raised her hand. "Let us prove it works. The Vorax have sent a small scouting party ahead of their main fleet. Let us show you what we can do." After much debate, Commander Choi agreed to let the humans try their approach, but only against the scouting party. The next day, everyone watched as human officers directed a small Confederation force against 6 Vorax scout ships. Instead of attacking directly, the humans used strange tactics. They sent out fake signals, making it seem like they had more ships than they actually did. They transmitted confusing messages that the Vorax could intercept. They moved in patterns that made no sense. The Vorax ships began to move erratically. They changed course multiple times. They fired at empty space. And finally, something unprecedented happened. They retreated. The command center was silent with shock. No one had ever seen Vorax ships retreat before. "How?" Commander Choi asked finally. "What did you do?" "We confused their network," General Song explained. "We gave them conflicting information. Their distributed mind couldn't form a clear picture of the battlefield." Commander Choi looked at the human team with new respect, but also with caution. A species that could think this way was powerful indeed. After a long meeting with the highest Confederation officials, a decision was made. Despite serious ethical concerns, the humans would lead the defense of the Arcturus system. As the human team prepared their strategy, Lieutenant Du noticed Ambassador Kang watching them with worried eyes. "You're afraid of what we might do next," she said to him. Ambassador Kang nodded slowly. "I'm afraid of what you're capable of, but I'm more afraid of the Vorax." He looked at the humans working busily around him. "The Confederation has forgotten how to think like warriors. Perhaps we needed to remember." General Song joined them. "The main Vorax fleet will reach Arcturus in 2 days. Now we'll show you what humans can really do when we fight to protect others. Ambassador Kang watched as the humans continued their work with energy and determination. They had come to save the galaxy, but he wondered what the galaxy would become once it learned to think like humans. General Song stood tall on the bridge of the Confederation flagship. The giant screen in front of her showed the Arcturus system. 5 planets with billions of people were in danger. The Vorax fleet was coming, over 200 ships strong. Around her, alien officers waited nervously. They had never won a battle against the Vorax. Many doubted even the humans could change that. "Launch the decoy fleet," General Song ordered, her voice calm. Lieutenant Do pressed a series of buttons. Across the system, 50 small unmanned ships activated. They were simple ships, but each one broadcast signals that made it look like a much larger vessel. Commander Choi watched with interest. "The Vorax will know these are fake once they get close enough." "That's the point," General Song replied. "We want them to think they've discovered our trick." Across the room, other human officers were sending out false communications. Some messages suggested that the main Confederation fleet was hiding behind the 3rd planet. Others hinted at a secret weapon being prepared. None of these things were truth, but the messages were designed to be intercepted by the Vorax. "The first Vorax ships have entered the system," an officer reported. Everyone watched as the Vorax fleet approached. They moved in their usual formation, with scout ships in front and larger vessels behind. The Vorax themselves were never seen directly. They stayed inside their ships, controlling everything through their connected minds. The Vorax scouts encountered the decoy fleet first. They attacked immediately, destroying several of the unmanned ships. But when they got close enough to realize the decoys weren't real warships, something unexpected happened. "They're splitting up," Commander Choi said in surprise. "Why would they do that?" General Song smiled slightly. "Because some of them received orders to investigate the 3rd planet, while others were told to ignore the decoys as a distraction. But they didn't receive those orders," Commander Choi said, confused. "No," Lieutenant Do explained. "We sent fake orders that looked like they came from their own commanders." Commander Choi watched as the Vorax fleet began to move in different directions, some ships seemingly uncertain about where to go. "Your species fights with disturbing efficiency," he observed. "We've had plenty of practice against ourselves," Lieutenant Do replied grimly. As the main Vorax fleet approached, the HFY human strategy continued to unfold. Small, fast Confederation ships darted in to attack, then quickly retreated. They always targeted specific Vorax vessels, the command ships that General Song's team had identified. For the first time, the Vorax seemed uncertain. Their responses were slower than usual. Some ships moved in one direction while others moved in another. "It's working," Commander Choi said with growing excitement. "They're confused, but the most controversial part of the human plan was yet to come." General Song gave a nod to Lieutenant Do, who pressed another button. "Sacrifice ship is moving into position," she reported. On the screen, a medium-sized Confederation vessel moved directly toward the center of the Vorax fleet. It sent out distress signals, pretending to be damaged and unable to maneuver. The Vorax ships surrounded it. Instead of destroying it immediately, they moved closer, preparing to capture it. Ambassador Kang rushed onto the bridge. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "That's the science vessel Horizon. Its databases contain advanced Confederation technology." "We know," General Song said calmly. "You gave them one of our ships." Ambassador Kang was furious. "The technology alone, icons, is worthless compared to the misinformation we loaded into its databases," General Song interrupted, "and the virus that's now spreading through their communication network." Ambassador Kang stared at her in shock. "What virus?" Lieutenant Do explained. "The Vorax connect to captured technology to learn about it. When they connect to the Horizon systems, they'll receive a virus designed to disrupt their neural network." "How is that even possible?" Commander Choi asked. "We studied the Vorax corpses you recovered," Lieutenant Do said. "Their brains have unusual patterns. They're vulnerable to specific electromagnetic signals. Our virus mimics those signals." Everyone watched the screen as the Vorax ships captured the Horizon. For a few minutes, nothing seemed to happen. Then, suddenly, the Vorax fleet erupted into chaos. Ships began firing on each other. Some drifted without apparent control. Others flew in circles or headed in random directions. "Now," General Song ordered. The Confederation fleet, which had been hiding behind Arcturus's moons, moved in. They targeted the Vorax command ships with precision, destroying them one by one. A Confederation biologist stood near Lieutenant Doe, watching the battle with wide eyes. "How did you know this would work?" "The Vorax neural pathways showed vulnerability to specific patterns," Lieutenant Doe explained. "The virus simulates those patterns, causing confusion and contradictory commands." The biologist looked disturbed. "Who studied their brains that closely?" "We considered that unethical." Lieutenant Doe simply nodded. "In war, knowledge is as important as weapons." Within hours, the battle was over. More than half the Vorax fleet was destroyed. The rest had fled, scattered in all directions without coordination. Arcturus was saved. For the first time, the Vorax had been decisively defeated. In the command center, the alien officers celebrated. Planets across the Confederation received the news with joy and relief. The Vorax could be beaten after all, but some, like Ambassador Kang and Commander Choi, watched the humans with new eyes. They had saved Arcturus, yes. But the way they fought, using deception, psychological manipulation, and biological warfare, disturbed many Confederation species. General Song noticed their looks. "You're wondering if you've traded one terror for another," she said quietly. Commander Choi didn't deny it. "You think in ways we haven't thought for thousands of years." "Sometimes old knowledge is needed," General Song replied. The Vorax awakened something the Confederation had forgotten, the will to fight not just with honor, but with effectiveness. As the human team planned their next move against the retreating Vorax, a message went out from Ambassador Kang to the Confederation Council. "The humans have saved Arcturus. Their methods are effective but disturbing. We must consider carefully what role they will play in our galaxy after this war is over." The humans had proved they could defeat the Vorax. Now the galaxy had to face a new question. Were their saviors also something to fear? 60 days had passed since the humans first arrived in Confederation space. The emergency council room that once feared the Vorax now buzzed with a new concern. Admiral Tay watched the council members take their seats. The room felt different today. Before, fear had filled the air. Now there was unease of a different kind. Ambassador Kang stood at the center of the room. He had spent the most time with the humans and had just returned from their new base near Proxima Station. "The humans have a new plan," he announced. "They want to track the Vorax back to their homeworld." "And then what?" asked Councillor Kim. "Complete destruction," Kang replied. "They want to eliminate the Vorax entirely." The room filled with whispers. Many council members looked shocked. Representative Lee stood up. "But they saved Arcturus. Billions of lives were saved because of the humans." "Yes," Ambassador Park countered, her 6 arms moving with agitation. "But how did they save those lives? They used tricks and lies during battle. They created a virus that attacked the Vorax minds. These are methods our civilization stopped using thousands of years ago." Admiral Tay listened to the debate grow louder. Some council members supported the humans, others feared them. After letting them speak for some time, he raised his hand for attention. "I have fought beside the humans," he said quietly. Everyone grew silent to hear him. "What they accomplished in 2 months we could not do in 2 years. Their minds work differently than ours. They see patterns we miss. They think of strategies we would never consider." "That is exactly what worries us," said Councillor Kim. "If they can defeat the Vorax so easily, what happens when they turn their minds against us?" "Do you think they would attack us?" asked Representative Lee. "They came to help." "Not now, perhaps," said Ambassador Park, "but humans advance quickly. Their history is full of wars. They went from simple flight machines to space travel in less than a century. Most species take 5 times that long." On their new base near Proxima Station, General Song was unaware of the Council's concerns. She sat in a communication room, speaking with President Han from Earth. His image flickered slightly on the screen. "The Vorax fleet is scattered," she reported. "We've tracked 3 of their command ships. We believe they're heading back toward their home territory." "And the Confederation?" President Han asked. "How do they feel about our success?" General Song smiled slightly. They're grateful, but confused. Our way of fighting disturbs them. Still, they've offered us observer status in their military command. President Han thought for a moment. Accept it, he finally said. We need to understand our place in this new galactic community. Some of them fear us, General Song added. I've noticed how they watch us. Can you blame them? President Han replied. We think differently than they do. We solve problems in ways they find uncomfortable. Back in the council chamber, the debate continued for hours. Finally, Councillor Kim proposed a solution. We need to work with the humans, he said. Their help against the Vorax is too valuable to reject, but we also need to guide them, to help them understand our ways. After much discussion, the council voted to create a new position, Human Affairs Ambassador. This person would help humans integrate into galactic society. They would teach humans about Confederation values and culture. What went unsaid was the other purpose, to watch the humans closely. Admiral Tay was chosen for this important job. As the council meeting ended, he walked with Ambassador Kang through the halls of the station. Do you think it will work? Kang asked. Can we really guide the humans? I don't know, Tay admitted. They learn quickly, but they think in their own way. They passed by an open area where families gathered. To their surprise, they saw a small human child playing with several alien children. The human boy, named Min, was the son of one of the Earth scientists. He sat in a circle with 4 alien children, each from a different species. They were playing a simple game, taking turns saying words in each other's languages. Min said something in the language of a blue-skinned child, who laughed with delight. Add his pronunciation. They're teaching each other, Kang observed. Tay watched the children play. Perhaps that's our hope, he said. They're children learning our ways, and our children learning to adapt like humans. A new generation that combines the best of both. Later that day, Tay met with General Song to tell her about his new role as Human Affairs Ambassador. So you'll be watching us, she said with a knowing smile. Learning from you, Tay corrected, and helping you learn about us. General Song nodded. Fair enough, we have much to teach each other. She looked out a window at the stars. The Vorax are still out there. We'll need to work together to stop them completely. And after that? Tay asked carefully. General Song looked at him directly. After that, we hope to be friends, not enemies. Humans have fought each other for most of our history. We would prefer not to fight anymore. Tay wasn't sure if he believed her completely. Humans were complicated. They could be kind and cruel, peaceful and violent, honest and deceptive. Sometimes all at once. As he left the human base, Tay passed by the play area again. The children were still there, now drawing pictures together. Min was showing the others how to draw Earth animals they had never seen. Perhaps, Tay thought, this was the true answer. Not fear, not control, but understanding. The children didn't see each other as strange or dangerous. They saw new friends, new games, new words to learn. Tay sent a final message to the council before ending his day. The humans saved us from one terror. Whether they become another remains to be seen. But I believe there is hope for peace between us. They are dangerous allies, yes, but they could become valuable friends. In her quarters, General Song looked at the star maps showing the Vorax retreat. The hunt would continue soon. But after that was the bigger challenge, showing the Confederation that humans could be more than warriors, that they could be builders, teachers, explorers, that they could bring more to the galaxy than just new ways to fight. The end.